My name is Jane Swindell, and I'm the program manager with We Schools. My partner in crime, Sarah Zerbuchin, is joining here as well. Sarah, I don't know if you're able to come off mute yet or not. Maybe not quite yet, but Sarah is the Senior Director of We Schools, and I will turn it over to you, Jeanette, to introduce yourself as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Jane. And I'm Jeanette Simonson, Program Manager over here at Thrively, and we're very excited to be in partnership with the WE organization to provide all of you with some really fantastic resources, not only for yourselves, but for your students. So extremely excited to share these and give these to you with a whole summer to kind of allow you to digest them. And please share them with your circles of influence as well. So happy to be here. Let me scroll forward.
Okay, so we'd love to hear from you. So please share in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. We'd love to learn who you are, the grade levels that you work with or support, and how you're feeling today. Please feel free to share with an emoji or just let us know on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, whatever works best for you. And while you're doing that, I'm going to share in the chat as well. Just a Google form here where we'd be able to follow up with you with additional resources as well as the information from today's session. So it looks like we have Christiana here today. Welcome from Grant Community High School. Okay, Christiana teaches Spanish. Robert's doing well, amazing. Okay. How are you doing today, Jeanette?
To come off mute. I had to come off mute. I am doing fantastic today. It is sunny here in Colorado, and sun always makes us feel good, right?
Absolutely. Okay, well, keep those up so that we can best meet your needs. So thank you. So looking at what we'll cover today, so by the close of today's session, our hope is that we will meet these 3 primary learning objectives for today. So kicking it off with learning, so learning more about our We WellBeing program scope, sequence, and available curriculum resources. We'll then be jumping over to an investigation where you'll be able to investigate our We WellBeing resources and online interactive resources through the Thrively platform. One thing that we're very grateful for is this partnership with Thrively that allows us to take our We WellBeing content and have it be available in a way that is interactive and engaging and allows you and your students to use these resources in a meaningful way. And so we'll be doing some investigation there. And then the last component is we'll be identifying some of those resources that you'd be interested in exploring further. So we'll have some time for exploration, we'll be creating some action plans, and then we'll be wrapping it up with a Q&A as well. So looking at this here, we'd love to hear from you. Again, feel free to unmute or share in the chat, but what is well-being and what does well-being mean to you? There aren't any right or wrong answers. We just want to hear from you how you would define well-being. Is it being active outdoors? Is it knowing how to calm down when you're feeling upset? What are some things that you think of when you think of well-being? Okay, Jeanette. Thinking of connections with others. Yes, I love that. I think of balance. I think from teaching and from juggling so many different things throughout the day, I think well-being is just trying to strike a balance between work and family and doing those things that bring you joy, whether it's going for a walk or things like that. And so.
Well, and you bring up a good point, Jane, as people are thinking about well-being. I had this sort of epiphany thought about well-being in the classroom or in a school system versus well-being at home, because it's different. And obviously those of us who are on, and we've been in, so I don't know if our teachers who are on, what does well-being feel like in a classroom?
That's a great question, Jeanette.
Yeah.
Yeah, because oftentimes we do go to those different spaces and try to define it for all of those different environments that we're in, but focusing on well-being in the classroom. I see that Robert shared maintaining peace in our minds and lives. I love that, Robert. Absolutely.
And the how you do that too, right? I mean, Robert, that is, gosh, I'm striving for that. I just had a hip replacement, and so talk about finding my balance and peace, right? It's a whole new. And so how do you do that? Do you read positive things? And then as we do it as educators or parents or just humans out in the world, then how does that translate for our students? Because they tend to watch us.
So true. Kelly, I see that you're off of mute. Was there something that you'd like to share? Okay, if not, no worries. Well, thank you, Robert, for sharing what well-being means to you in the chat. For any folks who are still pondering that thought, feel free to share once you've come up with your answers. In the meantime, we will continue on. So as you can see here, again, there aren't any right or wrong answers, but let's review some of the things that what well-being might consist of based on some of these examples here. And so it could be laughing out loud. It could be getting enough sleep, being active outdoors, being a good friend. I love that one. Eating healthy food, knowing how to calm down when you're upset, developing those coping mechanisms. And so as you can see just from these examples, there are many dimensions of well-being. And so it's really important that we realize that well-being is a much broader concept than that moment-to-moment happiness. While happiness is certainly a component there, it also includes some other things such as how satisfied are people with their whole life or their sense of purpose. We hear that word come up often when we're talking about well-being, sense of purpose, and helping our students develop that sense of purpose too, right? That's part of their transition beyond school is thinking about the needs that they care about, their strengths and skills, and what brings them joy. In addition, thinking about what else it includes, it's how in control they feel of things. And so going back to what Robert shared with maintaining peace, having that peace of mind, knowing that that everything is okay as is. And so while there is no one size fits all for well-being, these are certainly some of the indicators that we'd like to highlight and that may be intrinsically valuable to someone.
Jane, I just clicked something. I'm learning how to use Kino, by the way. Can everyone see you or see me? I'm trying, because it looks like we're seeing me only, correct? Okay.
I think it's all good.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm learning here.
We're all learning. I appreciate you taking the reins with the deck because I couldn't even.
No problem. Yeah, for those of you who are with us, I'm learning how to use Kino for the first time, so this is exciting. I love learning new things. I think that actually brings me some well-being too. So
Yeah.
Way to connect.
Learning a new skill.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing at the end of the day. So using the scale that you see here, shown from 1 to 5, how would you rate your well-being? And how would you rate the collective well-being of your students or of your class? At this point in time, we know it's May, we know the year is coming to an end soon, but how are you doing? How is your well-being? And how is the well-being of your class? Feel free to. Okay, Robert, 3 all around. Thank you for sharing. Hopefully, with implementing some of the tools and resources we share today, we can bump that up.
Well, and the thing I love about We, and I remember, going back 2-3 years ago when I was using We in the classroom, just a special shout out for those of you who may not have used it before. It was the culmination at the end of May where all the work we did and all of the trials and tribulations we celebrated. And I think one of the strengths that We brings to the table is that ability to celebrate. Because if you think about well-being, if we don't stop and reflect and say, hey, my team did a great job, or all of our kids, look at what we accomplished, and take that pause. And I want you guys as educators too, take a pause and reflect on all the resilience and all that you've overcome over the last 2+ years. Celebrate you. I mean, honestly, I've been in schools all over the country this past year, and I am so proud to call myself an educator, because we are foundationally awesome. I mean, just, we believe in others. And so rate yourself too. How well have you overcome challenges, and collectively with your colleagues and your administrators and your parents and everything else. So, yeah, you're probably maybe still a 3, but I don't know. Maybe just by a little shift in perspective, you might find yourself at a 4 as well.
I love that, Jeanette. Some positive self-talk there. Everyone can give themselves a pat on the back or some self-love, just to know what an incredible job you're doing, and how resilient you are for persevering through these past couple of years. We know they haven't been easy, as Jeanette has highlighted.
All right, now here's the test. Hopefully my sound will work. So let's go ahead and we'll watch this overview. Jane, please let me know if you can't hear.
So just as a brief refresher, or just a sort of a Cole's Notes version, social and emotional learning came on the scene in about 1994, 1995, when Daniel Goleman wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence, and really showed through the science that, your IQ only predicts about 10 to 15% of your life success. And then, in fact, it's all these other skills that are, and hence was born something called CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, which is based in Chicago. It was actually set up by Dan Goleman and Eileen Grover Rockefeller. And CASEL has identified these 5 competencies, essentially, that comprise social and emotional learning. And you could actually think of it as 3 areas. There's 5 dimensions, but there's 3 areas. One is about the self, which includes self-awareness, being aware of your emotions, your strengths and weaknesses. Self-management or self-regulation, something like cognitive control, being able to manage your stress, things like that. 2 are kind of social dimensions. One's called social awareness, that includes things like empathy, being able to take others' perspectives, as well as relationship skills, knowing how to get along with others, make new friendships, resolve conflicts. And then the last one is responsible decision-making, being able to really think about your decisions and how your behaviors might influence others, and how to make ethical choices in your life.
So here we are at a very exciting point in history. We have the We program on the one hand that has been engaging youth and inspiring them to do good for the world. Now on the other hand, we have the field of social and emotional learning, which has decades of research showing that you can teach these social and emotional skills like social awareness and self-management. And we're bringing them together for the very first time to be able to create pioneering work to help make a difference in the world and promote the well-being of youth.
Oh, you're on mute. Yeah, there you go. Let's see if I can unmute you. Oh, here we go. Mute participant, no?
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, it wasn't working when I was clicking on the icon. So thank you for sharing that, Jeanette. And so who you were just hearing from was Dr. Kimberly Schonert-Reichel, and she is a principal investigator of our WellBeing program. And so as you can see from watching, she helped to identify the framework for social emotional learning, and she also highlighted how social emotional learning integrates with service learning. And so you may have found just by watching that social emotional learning and service learning, while they can often be regarded as separate entities, as you're exploring our WellBeing program, you'll see that they can now be understood as two complementary and connected means for promoting positive youth development. And so this is really what makes our program unique. And you'll find that through the additional exploration of our resources, by marrying social and emotional learning and service learning, we're creating supportive relationships and that safe and caring environment so that students can begin to support others within and outside of their communities. And so if you have any aha moments or things that you'd like to share after watching Dr. Kim's video, or if you have any questions too, feel free to pop those in the chat or unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear from you. And while you're marinating on that thought, we'll also share more about our WellBeing program. And so it is a research-based curriculum that is grounded upon a foundation of service learning, of positive youth development, and social and emotional learning. And so specifically, our WellBeing fosters child and youth purpose via community service as a means to develop those social emotional competencies and positive human qualities, such as gratitude and mindfulness and altruism and resiliency. And so we'll be touching on those shortly.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add something too, because you asked an important question, which again, I think, you take the summer and you like you said, you marinate, you percolate on the things that you've done, and SEL, fortunately has become such, the well-being of all of ourselves has become such an important thing to look at. But the application, everyone, and I'm sure many of you have used all sorts of SEL programs, the application of the SEL is where students, at least in my opinion, have spent time going, oh, I see why I need to be resilient, because I've now gone off and tried to do this, right? The homelessness, service learning that we did with they saw an application piece to it, and also this strengths quality that they bring to the table that says, I want to promote positive change in the world. So that positive identity that you pointed out. So for all of you who are listening and may not be familiar, that service learning piece is how well-being comes alive for students.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeanette.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you can see here, these are the program skills that you will have access to through our WellBeing program. And so as we're looking through these here, feel free to share in the chat at this point in time on May 25th, which of these is of most immediate need to you? Is it understanding the brain and brain development? Is it resilience or coping mechanisms to help your students tolerate or minimize and deal with stressful situations or manage any stress that they're experiencing? Is it understanding stress response, which includes our physical and thought responses to various situations? Or self-care, as we talked about earlier, and as we were rating our well-being, thinking about how we are taking care of ourselves as educators, and how our students are taking care of themselves, and the parents and caregivers and all of those education stakeholders that are a part of our community, because it's important that we're not just thinking about the well-being of us as educators or students, but that we're thinking of it from a holistic view as well, and how we can promote self-care all around. Also reducing stigma. So this is a big one too. We're coming out of Mental Health Awareness Month, and thinking about how we talk openly about mental health so that we can reduce any misperceptions or negative thoughts, and develop an understanding by sharing experiences. And so opening up that dialogue. And lastly, creating family and support systems. As mentioned earlier, making sure that what we're talking about with mental health literacy and tools doesn't just stay within the confines of our classroom, that that's extending to our family and support systems at home. Some of our WellBeing resources. And one important point that we'd like to highlight is that all of our WellBeing lesson plans are designed for students to build the specific social emotional learning competencies through our 4-step service learning process that you see here. And so this was intentionally designed this way, as you heard Dr. Kimberly Schoenert-Reichel speak to earlier. And we encourage you to take a look at this when you explore some of our lessons so you can see how this comes to life through investigation and learning, through planning and taking action, and through reflection as well. And that investigate and learn piece and reflection piece are really where some of the deeper understandings happen, because it's allowing folks to dig a little bit deeper and to not just plan and take action, but to enhance their learning experiences as well. And so with that, Sarah, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, can you hear me, I hope?
Yep,
Yeah? Oh,
loud
great.
and clear.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Sarah. I work closely with Jane at We, and I'm going to take you through just a high-level overview of what you'll find with our WellBeing curriculum within Thrively. So a great place to start is with our Educator Guide, and it really provides a holistic overview of the program, really from end to end. It talks really about the scope of practice, in that this program is very focused on prevention and promotion strategies, evidence-based strategies, versus looking at intervention or treatment. It's really on universal education. It talks a lot about program goals and objectives, which we've learned what some of those skills are that are incorporated as part of this program that Jane just took us through. It talks about how it's built on various social and emotional learning competencies, and it really kind of runs you through the lessons. So this is a great place to start, our Educator Guide. And I'm going to take you through just the outline of all the curriculum next, and then we're going to share a PDF with you that has all the quick links into Thrively. But before we do that, we'll just walk you through what you can expect and what you can find as far as lessons and other resources. So we've broken down all of the curriculum that you'll find in Thrively by grade bands. So K3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 12. So so you can see in our K3 and in our 4 through 6 that you always begin with a foundational module. That foundational module is a series of lessons that basically sets up a safe and caring environment in which to establish that foundation from the get-go before going deeper into the 5 positive human qualities. And so that's what you'll see there, where it's starting with mindfulness and empathy and altruism and resilience. And so there are several different lessons within each one of those 5 different positive human qualities. And then we also have a great resource, an accompanying resource called our activity cards. And those are focused on different social and emotional themes and skills that relate to anything from healthy habits and what healthy habits look like things like consistent hydration, nutrition, healthy relationships, to really looking deeper at the brain science, like what does the neuroscience say as it relates to social and emotional learning, and what is literally happening in your student's brain as they are going through each of these lessons. So then if we flip to the next slide, in grades 7 through 8, just a note, you'll see that there is not really there are not sequenced lessons in what you've seen in K through 6. Those are forthcoming. We do have activity cards, again, on several different key themes. And then our high school curriculum is really focused on mental health literacy and healthy relationships. And so it takes a departure from the 5 positive human qualities, and we piloted this program for 2 years before we launched it in high school to make sure that we were really getting it right with an SEL curriculum. As some of you might be familiar with, there's lots and lots of SEL curriculums out there, but high school tends to be a bit of a tough nut to crack when it comes to social and emotional learning. And so so these lessons, though, we've learned from a lot of feedback that they really resonate, and that they're very applicable and relevant to what high school students are experiencing and the type of relationships and conversations that they're having. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to share a link to this PDF that has all the curriculum by grade. It has all the links in it. And we want to share this with you because we want to make it super easy for you to be able to find what you're looking for within Thrively. But we will need to get you logged into Thrively first before any of these links happen. Because otherwise, if you're not logged in and you click on one of these links right now, it'll just require you to sign in anyways. Mm-hmm. So Jeanette, I will pass it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So yes, as Sarah and Jane said, this PDF that we've created, and I know it's been put in the chat, is there for you. Please click on it. Make sure you save it. Share it with your network. It's free, and it's wonderful just in terms of thinking about. Share it with your administrators as they start to think about next year. But in the meantime, to be able to make a PDF come alive and have your students, and those of you who have kids, this would be great for you to even explore with your own kids this summer. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm going to switch over to logging into Thrively, and then I'll show you how I'm doing that, because we need to get everybody kind of where they need to be in terms of logging in, or at least for those of you, I can't tell if anybody's on a phone, but how you do that. And we will leave the how do you log into Thrively. It will be in the slides here. So let me choose, let's see, Chrome tab window. Let's go this way here. Sorry, I'm learning how to, okay, perfect, here we go. So ultimately, and these will be in the slides, but I'm going to take you live through it so that you have this recorded way to do it as well. First of all, you'll go to Thrively.com, and you'll notice that you've got to join or log in. Some of you may already have a free account, an account through your school, what have you. But if you're brand new and you've never logged into Thrively before, it's free to join. The strength assessment is free to be able to take it yourself, have your students, if you still have a couple more weeks left of school, this is a great thing to do for your students so they can walk away from the end of the year saying, oh my gosh, I have these strengths. So you join here, and very simply, am I a parent, am I an educator, am I a student? Most of you, educator, you'll choose that, and you'll sign in. Let me take that out. You're just going to sign in with your email address. Create a password for yourself, select the grade, and then get started with Thrively. So pretty easy to log in, pretty easy to make that all sort of flow. And then you'll be logged in, and I'll show you in a second, I'll go backwards. What will end up happening, let me log in for a second. As I log in here, you can customize it, put your face up here, but you'll log in and you'll see a dashboard. and that will have all sorts of wonderful resources. And so the lessons, the PDF that was shared with you, all you have to do is click on it. Once you're logged in, you click on those links, and it takes you directly to a playlist, a lesson that directly aligns to that. So what's really nice is you all will have the ability and the time to be able to explore this in the next few minutes. Let me pause right there and see if anybody has any questions on, I see a couple things in the chat on how to log in. And then because I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to switch back over to my other share. I have to share a Chrome tab the way that my settings are set up right now. Okay. So now that you're logged in, you can go ahead and explore the interactive resources through Thrively. And again, the PDF that Jane shared with you will give you great access for that. So I'm going to turn it back over to you all at WE, and you can talk a little bit about this interactive digital content.
Okay, perfect. So I think what we wanted to do next is I think we just wanted to give you a little bit of time to actually investigate and to do a bit of exploring. And actually, if anyone is having any issues logging in, please just let us know in the chat, because we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to log in and do a bit of exploring, because that's really what this is all about. And then the other thing that we're going to encourage you to do, and if you, Jeanette, if you can, yes.
Let's go here, yeah, to that, right? Yeah. Did I read your mind? Okay, good.
You did read my mind. So as you're exploring, one of the things that and we'll put this in the chat, is that we would encourage you to explore with an action plan. And an action plan is something that we use a lot in service learning. It's a big part of our program, and it really is, it's breaking down what is it that you're finding through your investigation, what are you planning to do with it, how will you take action, and then what will that reflection be. So clearly we're not going to get into all those steps today, but at a minimum, as you're exploring, you can jot down any notes that you have in the action plan on what is it as far as a lesson plan or activity card or a different resource that you're seeing in Thrively that really resonates with you and that you want to make sure to come back and revisit. So we're going to share that PDF with you, or I'll share that PDF with you here in just a moment in the chat. And it's a great thing to refer to as you're doing your investigation. And then we'll just do a little investigation. So we're just going to maybe pop some music on and let you do your thing, and then we'll come back together. So we'll give you maybe 10 minutes or so, actually maybe 8 minutes to do a little investigation.
Wonderful. And what I'll do, well, I'm going to not talk through this, but what I'll do is just, for those of you that are visual learners and may not be, maybe you're listening instead of logging in, I'm going to just kind of pretend I'm you for a few minutes and click on some things, show you some things inside Thrively. Again, maybe it'll be in the recording for you to look back at later. Just going to switch my view here for a second. I'm going to show a different screen here. All right, let me reshare. Okay, so this document right here, what's really great is I can click on empathy. the way it's organized. You can see some details. And then here's the lesson. So notice the students are having an opportunity to watch and listen to videos, think, draw, talk to each other, record a video, and then really think about how did it feel. Some definitions. What makes a good friend? These can be done whole group, individually, with partners. What I love is this little video aspect where you can click on it and you can turn and talk to your partner and capture the conversation. The other search piece of this too, which is really great, is you can go to playlists and you can search for we.org. And all these we resources that we just shared with you pop up as well. In gratitude, there's a progress report to see how far your students have moved through the, and right now we don't have any students assigned to it yet, but you assign students based on class. Like maybe I want my homeroom, and I want all students in my homeroom to do it. Now you can see 100% of them haven't started yet, but once they start completing it, those green circles populate and they fill in. So anybody who has any questions, please unmute or stop me. I know that there might be something in the chat. Okay, perfect. So I'll pause right there and let you guys just kind of explore around for a few minutes. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment.
I think we're probably at time. I think it's maybe been 8 minutes or so. Okay. So we'd love to turn it over to you to hear from you. What's a resource, or maybe you saw a few resources that you were exploring that you thought, wow, this is great. Like I would love to think about using this or explore a bit more. We'd love to hear from you. So you're welcome to type it in the chat if you'd like, or to come off mute and to share what you found. Do we have a brave soul that will go first?
And additionally, if you have any questions from your exploration, we'd be happy to support you in any way.
Any thoughts out there?
We have our teacher wait time. We can wait while people while you put your thoughts together and let us know just what you found that you're interested in, or what was of most value.
Would it be worthwhile, if you're not sure just yet, would it be worthwhile if there's a specific grade band that you would like to explore a bit more, we can certainly bring that up and we could walk you through kind of, Jane and I have our favorites, some of the lessons or activities that we think that we hear consistently time and time again from educators really, really resonate. So we can go that route too, if there's a specific grade you'd like to explore, or grade band really.
Well, if there aren't any questions at this time, or if you're still doing some exploration, one thing that we'll also do too at the end of this session is we'll share our information. So as you are doing your exploration, if you have any Thrively specific questions or specific questions about the WellBeing resources, you can certainly reach out to any of us, and we'd love to hop on a call and connect and support you.
And Christiana shared with us in the chat, thank you. No questions for now, thank you. So thanks so much for letting us know, Christiana. That's great. We hope you found something of value in there.
Yeah, and something that you were hoping to find today, right? Thinking about what brought you to this session. What was your why for being here? What were you hoping to learn more about? Because if hopefully we touched on that, but if not, please let us know, and we'd be happy to share more. So it sounds like Kelly is still playing with the tools. We get it. There's a lot to explore, but a lot of great stuff too. So thank you for sharing, Kelly. As you're playing around and as you're doing your exploration, feel free to reach out to us at any time.
Okay. Well, I think, Jane, if we go to our next slide, Christiana, thank you for writing another note. I shared the Thrively website resources with our TLC group as well as our curriculum and instruction director at our school. We're looking for a platform we can use. Well, that is great. And I think to help our students become more inclusive in general education. I love that, Christiana. And the one thing that I think is good to know is that anything that you see when you're exploring, if you're ever looking just for specific content, so if you're ever looking just for WellBeing lessons, or you're looking for just service learning lessons, if in the search bar you type we.org, you just type we.org in the search bar, I just put it in the chat, that will bring up everything that's we focused, and it's all free. Everybody has access to it, and it's all there, easy to find. And if you just want to look by grade band, you can do that, but that just kind of gives you everything into one shot if you search we.org.
I can see if I can share that too. So can everyone see my screen here?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. So what Sarah's referring to is once you're in the Thrively platform, if you go to the lessons store, you'll have the ability to, you can filter by all sorts of activities or categories here and topics. But additionally, you can search by grade level, which is really neat that they're able to tag the lessons and filter in that way. So while they are also grade banded and you can search there, you can also search by typing in we.org. And once you type that in, you'll see here we have all of our our WellBeing content there, so it's easy to find. Again, you can use this method to access these resources, or you can use that PDF that we shared. And I also want to point out that as you are in the lesson store and looking at these lessons, you may be encouraged to buy this lesson, but please don't let that deter you, because all of these we'll see here, it's $0. That's just the process for adding this to your playlist. You don't enter any information, but you can purchase this lesson, complete it, and then it will be added to your playlist where you can access it. So just wanted to point that out.
That's great, Jane. Thank you for doing that.
Happy to. And I'll pull up our deck here too, and then we'll go through some next steps and wrap up and leave some time for Q&A as well. So we'd love for you to continue your exploration. We hope that you found some great resources to support you all. We appreciate you sharing in the chat, Christiana, that you're hoping to help your students become more inclusive in general education, and so that is so awesome to hear. And if we can ever support you as you are connecting with your colleagues, feel free to let us know, and we'd be happy to hop on a call with you all and go through this again. And that goes for everyone. And then we encourage you to continue with your action plan. Again, we hope that with these WellBeing resources, you can wrap up the school year on a strong note, and also plan ahead as you're looking to the upcoming school year, making sure that you have the resources to support you, your students, family and caregivers, and your colleagues as well. And so if you have any questions as you're developing your action plans, or if you just want to share that, Sarah and I love seeing your plans in action, and we'd be happy to share any feedback or thoughts too. So feel free to pop us a note there, and we will go ahead and share our email, and then open it up to some questions as well. So again, if you have any Thrively specific questions, there is Jeanette's email there, Jeanette@thrively.com. We'll pop this in the chat. And then for any WE specific questions, you can certainly reach out to myself at jane.swindell@we.org, as well as Sarah at sarah.zerbuchen@we.org, and we'd love to connect. So